Testing, testing. I'm so official. I have a mic. Hey guys, welcome back to another video. If you're new here, my name is Katie and welcome to my channel. If you didn't know, I am an ER nurse. I graduated nursing school last year and started my first job in the ER on October 31st. So it's a little past a year now, but I thought that I would take some time to kind of reflect on this last year of nursing, share my experience and how I feel about nursing now after a year. First, we're going to start off with the positive side because I feel like as hard as nursing is, there are a lot of positives. When I first sat down to do this video, I was thinking like, oh, I can just sit down in front of the camera and start talking. And then I was like, wait, why is nothing coming to mind when I think about positive things? So I decided that at that point was not the right time to film this video if I couldn't think of anything positive. But this morning I woke up and I actually wrote out a list, and I have more positives than negatives on this list. So I feel like that just says a lot about how I was feeling that particular day. Like most people who go into this profession, I love helping people and I love working with people. I feel like the connection that I make with my patients and being part of the process that helps people feel better, even though it's just another day at my job for me and I'm just clocking in to go do my job. These are some people's worst days. I think that's very powerful, and I love that I am able to make those connections with people within myself. I feel like I've grown a lot from my first day. I don't get pre-shift anxiety anymore. I remember when I would get to work or when I was getting ready for work, my stomach would hurt, my heartbeat, I was just very hyper aware of my heartbeat. I would have dreams about work or about going into work. It was a lot. The transition from a student into a nurse is very overwhelming. What happened for me is I built it up in my head a lot, like the things that were more intimidating to me, like dealing with critical patients and intubations and stroke alerts and cardiac arrests and all these things, which are still scary. They're still scary to me now, but I don't freak myself out about it. I feel like I've gotten to a point where I am more okay with the unknown, and I just tell myself, like, no matter what, we're gonna get through it. I have great coworkers, great support team, so if I don't know something, I'll just ask. So I feel like just getting comfortable with being uncomfortable has been a game changer for me. I also feel so much better about like my time management skills. Before, when I first, like the very first couple shifts by myself, I felt so overwhelmed. It was like, how was I handling this so well 2 weeks ago when I was with my preceptor, and now I'm doing the same thing I was doing then, but it feels like so much heavier, so much more responsibility. I feel like I'm always behind. Everybody else is sitting at the nurse's station and I haven't stopped running around. There are days that are like that, I won't lie, that are still, sometimes your section just happens to be a lot crazier than everybody else's, or your patients are a lot more needy and want more things from you. It just all kind of depends on the type of patients you have, the acuity level, what was done on the previous shift and what's still pending, all those kinds of things. Overall, I feel like I've definitely gotten better at prioritizing what are the most important things that need to get done, and also making sure that reassessing my patients, checking on everybody, making sure all my tasks are completed, my charting is done, calling report when patients get rooms upstairs. So all of that, I feel like I've gotten a lot better at that. Additionally, improved my nursing skills. Like for example, the other day I helped one of my coworkers who is newer, and they had never accessed a chest port before. And I was the one who helped them do it. And I felt kind of proud of myself. Like, this was something that I used to be terrified to do myself. And now here I am helping one of my coworkers do it for the first time. It's actually wild. Like, when you think about how you were when you started compared to now, and like the things that used to be scary and would take such a long time because I want to make sure I'm doing everything correct and going slow and step by step, making sure I'm not missing anything, to now where it's like, I still go slow and do step by step, but like I'm not scared to do it anymore. It's kind of liberating. And then like sitting here talking about it makes me really proud of myself because it's not how I used to feel. I feel like I'm talking a lot about like the actual work aspect of it. So I'm just going to finish off with that, and then I'll talk about like other positive things about being a nurse that I've noticed. So to continue on with like the job part, I feel like I'm pretty good at anticipating orders. For example, somebody comes in with abdominal pain. I'll ask them, where is your abdominal pain? If they point right here to me, this, while it may be abdominal pain in the long run, like some type of acid reflux or something, could also be chest pain. Sometimes there aren't orders in and my patient's already in their room, and I'm like, so I start talking to them, what are you here for? And based on what they tell me, I already know what kind of labs they're gonna order for this patient, so I just get going. I didn't used to know that, so I would stand there and wait until they put in orders for the patient, which is stupid because you're wasting time. To kind of be able to anticipate, because now you're ahead of the game. And especially in an ER setting where you are constantly getting new patients, you don't know if somebody's going to deteriorate or you're going to get a critical patient or whatever. It's nice to be ahead of the game as much as you can be, because you never know when something's going to hit the fan and you're going to have to be somewhere else. And last thing I feel like I've noticed I've grown a lot in is giving report. I feel like I was so bad at giving report in the beginning. Like I would completely forget about what was happening with my patients. I feel like what happened before was that I wasn't the only person responsible for the care of these patients. Like me and my preceptor were taking care of them at the same time. So it was like she knew some stuff, I knew some stuff. Obviously, I don't always know everything because it's hard to remember everything off the top of your head. So sometimes we'll go into the chart and look over some of the results, whatever. But most of the time, I feel like I've gotten a lot better at knowing what's up with my patients and being able to communicate that to the oncoming shift. Now, other positives that have to do with just nursing in general is the schedule and the flexibility. I can't tell you how much I love the fact that I work 3 days a week and have 4 days off. It's amazing. I love the freedom of just being off on random days and having my weekends, being able to swap with people when it's necessary, things like that. Also, I have really great coworkers. I feel like I have been able to make friendships with people, and that definitely helps make the shift go by better. And also working together as a team when there's like a really sick patient, or just having like those coworkers you can go to for anything and they're gonna help you no matter what is really nice to have. I know not everybody has that. Also, I'm currently enrolled in an online bachelor's program, and I've been able to manage working full-time plus completing this program on my days off. First, I felt very overwhelmed. Like I had been out of school for a year, starting a new job, like everything was just kind of happening all at the same time, and it felt like a lot, but it's gotten better. So I gave myself a couple months to like get acclimated and more comfortable in my role before I added something else to the mix, which I think was a good idea. I feel like a 6-month period to become adjusted to everything was enough time for me to feel comfortable enough to add something else onto my plate. So if you're also interested in that, I think it's a great idea. And last thing, I have never traveled more in my life than I have this year, and I owe that to, one, making more money now than I used to, and two, having the flexibility to do so, because taking PTO is not the same as it is in another job. 3 days worth of PTO is an entire week for me, whereas for somebody else it's only 3 days. So that has been amazing. And also, I don't have like a set amount of PTO at my job. I accrue my time off based on the amount of hours I work. So that part has been great. I've been to New York several times this year, London, and other little like day trips and stuff. So I've been really enjoying myself on my days off. Now on to like, I don't want to say negative, but the not so amazing part of nursing. For me, it's been the self-doubt. I still have moments where I doubt myself, and this comes with newer situations. It doesn't happen as often, but every now and then I feel like I'll have a moment where I'm like, damn, am I really like smart enough to do this? Like I I feel like I don't know a lot of stuff still and I'm still learning, but then I have to remind myself like that's literally part of your job, is to always be learning, and you're still new. Like, even though you've been doing this a year, there is so much to learn that it's normal for you to not know everything. And if you ever feel like you know everything, then there is something wrong with that, because there's always new stuff to learn and new skills and improvements, and you never want to be complacent in your job. So I feel like I still battle with that, and also just the overwhelming feeling that you can get because of your patient load. Sometimes your patients are not even that sick, but they're just really stressing you out because they keep asking you for everything, complaining about stuff that you have no control over. They're non-compliant. It's just, there's so many different ways that your shift can be overwhelming, and it's not necessarily just because your patient is really sick. And then, of course, dealing with losing patients and the grief part of the job. I have been so lucky in my life that I have never lost a family member before, or even an animal, because Mimi is my first dog, like my first pet besides fish. I feel very blessed that I've never had to experience that in my personal life. So my first time ever dealing with death or seeing somebody die was at my job. I feel like the first time I saw it, I had like no reaction, which I thought was weird. Like, I didn't cry, I didn't feel any type of way, and I feel like it's because it's like my brain just kind of rationalized it as this is part of what you signed up for. Like, this is normal almost, even though it's not normal, but it is normal. I went home that day. When I went to sleep, the patient that we lost, his arm was in my dream. Like, I could vividly see it, because when we were like preparing him so the family could come and see, I had to move his arm into the bed, and that night I dreamt about his arm. Maybe that was like a weird thing. And then also, like, besides that, seeing people lose their loved ones, especially when you lose young people, or when you spent your entire shift talking to this person and to their family, and all of a sudden they're being rushed to the cath lab because they're having a heart attack that they may not survive. And sometimes it's not even like actually seeing someone pass. Sometimes it's hearing how lonely people feel. I feel like that gets me more than seeing people die, which is odd to me. Just hearing how people feel like they don't have support and feeling like they're alone. Even though they're not actually alone, they just don't feel like they have someone they can talk to about things. Or then some people are alone, and it's just, that part breaks my heart. Also, the homeless people that come in when I have to discharge them at all hours of the night, and I'm sending these people out at like 3-4 o'clock in the morning into darkness, to go find some spot to lay down until morning time. And it breaks me. Almost like every time it breaks me. So you go home after work or wherever you've been for the day, you shower, you eat your food, and you get in your bed. And you don't even think twice about any of those things because they're there, and this is what you do every single day. But when I see these people, they don't have a bed. And I remember one time I had a homeless patient come in, and the doctor was like rushing to get them out, whatever, and they were basically begging, like, I just want to sleep for a little bit, like, can I just stay here and sleep for a little bit? And I had to leave the room because I was on the verge of tears, because this person was just begging to sleep. Something so basic that we all take for granted on a daily basis, sleeping somewhere where you feel safe. Thought about it for a second, and I was like, I can't even imagine what that must feel like, to not have a place that you go to every single day where you feel safe, to actually rest, for your body to relax, because even if you go to the same spot every day on the street, you don't necessarily feel safe or comfortable enough to really rest your body and your mind. You're always in this fight or flight, never really relaxed. And when I got off that morning, I cried my whole way home. And even now talking about it makes me feel a little choked up, because the simplest things in life that we all take for granted would be a luxury to somebody else. And things like that in working at my job have really opened my eyes to a lot of the hurt in this world, not just, people dying, but just like the people who are alive and all the different things that they're dealing with. So I didn't mean to kill the mood with that, but I feel like it's important to not only recognize the positive things and how it benefits me in my life and helping people, but also so much more than just giving somebody a medication or doing a head-to-toe assessment, making sure that you're charting and you're doing things the right way. It's also actually listening to people when they talk to you, because sometimes that's all they need. So I guess my big takeaways from my first year as a nurse are to prioritize self-care, because it is a taxing job. Physically, mentally, emotionally, you have to be on for those 12 hours. And overnight especially, you got to be on it. You got to be awake when you're not supposed to be awake, and your brain still got to work. You got to keep people alive. You got to make sure you're doing things safely and not making a mistake that could hurt somebody. So all of that is very exhausting and mentally draining. So taking time on your days off to do things to take care of yourself, because you're always taking care of other people, and so it's important to take time to take care of you. Also, to appreciate the people in my life and the things that I have in my life, and just my life in general. How I was just talking about something as simple as coming home to your bed. I feel like I have a newfound appreciation for the life that I live. I know not everybody is as privileged and as lucky to have the things that I have, and to even have the type of family that I have. And I just feel so appreciative of that all the time. I make sure to tell my family that I love them. I try not to stay angry at people, because one, it's just exhausting emotionally for me. I just don't have the capacity for that. But also because you never know. You never know when something bad is going to happen. You never know when it's going to be the last time you see somebody. You just never know. So tell your people you love them. Don't stay angry at people just out of spite. It's not worth it, because time is not guaranteed. Nothing in this life is guaranteed. If someone or something is important to you, make sure they know it. And last thing is to learn to love and appreciate the simple and mundane things in life. I feel like I've always been somebody who appreciates the small things and is able to appreciate the slower moments, because I feel like life is full of those small, simple things that bring you so much happiness and joy. There's less of those big things, and even though they feel so monumental in the moment, they're so far and few between. And the feelings that you feel in those big moments are only temporary. The small things in life, I feel like happen so much more often than the big things do. Being able to appreciate those smaller moments really helps you to appreciate your life, because these are the things that you do and experience more often. I don't know if that's an unpopular opinion. Maybe not everybody feels that way, but I've noticed that on my days off, instead of filling my days with a bunch of activities and stuff, occasionally I do, but most of the time what I crave is just making myself a cup of coffee at home, sitting outside and reading a good book, going on a nice long walk. That's kind of my view on my first year of nursing. Overall, it's been a very positive experience. I don't know if it's at all what I thought nursing was going to be like when I first went into it, started school. And even after I graduated, I remember I being so excited to start my first job. It was my dream job and blah, 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 blah. All your dreams coming true, everything you worked so hard for. And then it happens and you're like, oh shit, am I actually capable? Like, can I do this? I'm here to tell you that you can do it. You can do it. Is it going to be easy? Not at all. Are you going to cry? Probably. But if me going through this list has shown you anything, it's that typically the positive things outweigh the bad things. There's always going to be pros and cons in anything you do in life, and it's just what you choose to focus on. Do I recommend ER nursing? I think it's a great place to start. You are going to be thrown into the deep end for sure. I think it's a good way to start because you're exposed to everything. It's not just one little thing, it's everything, all different levels of acuity. I know I have appreciated that a lot about my job. I feel like I've gotten a little taste of everything. Honestly, I'm very proud of how far I've come in the first year, and I'm excited to see where this second year of nursing takes me. So I hope you guys enjoyed listening to me ramble on about my first year. Definitely comment down below if you've had similar experiences or feelings as ones I've had, or even different ones. I'd love to hear from you guys and what your first year of nursing was like. But that's going to be the end of today's video. Make sure, if you haven't already, to please like and subscribe, and I hope to see you guys next time. Bye.